Good afternoon, everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started now. It's a couple minutes after the hour. My name is Peter Jablonski. I'm with the Contract Monitoring Division. I want to make you all aware that this presentation is being recorded. And I am here with my colleague, Latan Wells, who is the 14B manager. And I am going to let her go ahead and start the presentation. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. My name is Latan Wells, as Peter mentioned. Thank you, Peter. I am the Contract Monitoring Division LBE Certification Manager. And today we'll be giving an overview of the 14B Local Business Enterprise Ordinance Updates. Next slide. Thank you. Today presenting will be the CMD management team, myself, as well as Peter Jablonski, who you just heard. He's the Contractor Accelerated Payment Program Manager, or CAP Manager. And we're hoping our director, Romulus Asenlu, may have a chance to stop by. Next slide. And our agenda today will include information on the 14B ordinance and changes that were recently made in December, as well as upcoming changes to the ordinance that was signed by the Board of Supervisors and the mayor. We'll be reviewing the LBE certification updates, information on the Contractor Accelerated Payment Program. We'll talk about expanded technical assistance for our LBEs, operational changes, some pilot programs that we've been working on, new requirements and penalties for firms, and the next steps for CMD and the 14B ordinance. And then we can take any questions and provide answers. You can put your questions in the chat and we will answer those at the end of the presentation. Next slide. For the 14B ordinance updates that were recently made effective December 13th, 2021, there are two major changes affecting LBE firms. The first change is that there is an increase in our threshold amounts. As you can see on the chart, you can see the previous threshold amounts and you can see the new threshold amounts, which have been changed and increased. The second change, which took effect December 13th, 2021, is that our gross receipts are calculated using 5 years of taxes instead of 3 years. So previously, we would only ask for 3 years of taxes. Now we're asking for 5 years. And what that does is it expands the number of years of which a firm may be eligible for the program based on their gross receipts. So those are the two primary changes for LBE firms as far as certification. We are updating our templates, city systems, and configuring the city's financial system, educating departments, and developing programs to allow opportunities for our LBEs under this new legislation. Next slide. So what are the next steps for our current LBEs? For our current LBEs who are already certified, if you are a micro LBE, then you do not need to take action unless you are approaching your expiration date of your LBE certification. And if you are expiring, then we ask that you submit your recertification application and documents at least 60 days in advance to allow time to request additional documentation if necessary. So the first question you would ask yourself as an LBE, am I a small or SBA LBE? Or will I change to small size or micro size if I'm a larger LBE? Or will I become micro if my gross receipts are calculated using 5 years and using the chart on the previous slide? Current micro LBEs, again, do not need to take action. Changing from SBA or small to micro will allow you to have more opportunities in the LBE program. Next slide. Certification next steps for current or former small and SBA LBEs. For current or former LBEs who are small or SBA and would like to be reviewed under the new threshold amounts, an application must be submitted. This is the action that's required for certification review under the new thresholds. You will submit your 14B certification application either online or by email. There's 2 ways. If you're submitting it online, you will submit it to sfcitypartner.sfgov.org or by email to lbecert@sfgov.org. With your application, you must submit your 5 most recent years of personal and business tax returns and submit any changes to your firm, such as your address, any ownership, or entity changes. You do not need to submit tax years that have already been submitted to CMD. For instance, if you previously submitted years 2016, 17, and 18, then you would only need to submit 2019 and 20 with your application because we have the other years on file. In addition, make sure you include any changes to your firm. Next slide. Certification next steps for new firms or firms who are not LBE certified currently. The action that's required is that you must submit a 14B certification application. And yes, you can do that 2 ways, either online to sfcitypartner.sfgov.org or by email to lbecert@sfgov.org. Submit the most recent 5 years tax returns for personal and your personal business taxes and your business taxes, excuse me. As well as a new firm, you must submit all required supporting documents, such as your ownership documents to show proof of ownership, proof of your San Francisco office, your lease, and proof of payment, your 3 contracts to show proof of experience, business registration from San Francisco, and your payroll documents. New firms who are interested in the LBE program and apply as of now will be reviewed under the new threshold standards and using 5 years of tax returns. However, an application must be submitted effective December 13th, 2021. Next slide. Next, Peter Jablonski will talk to you about the Contractor Accelerated Payment Program.
Thank you, Latan, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Again, my name is Peter Jablonski. I'm from the city's Contract Monitoring Division, and I wanted to briefly introduce the Contractor Accelerated Payment Program, otherwise known as CAP, C-A-P-P, which I administer for the city. The CAP program is part of the Contract Monitoring Division and is in its pilot phase. CAP has helped several LBEs in San Francisco since its inception in 2019. In essence, the program provides working capital loans up to $250,000 at 4% interest to certified LBE contractors that are awarded City and County of San Francisco construction jobs. The loans are administered through a third-party funds controller and can be used for payroll, materials, supplies, or to lease equipment. These loans are backed by a 50% guarantee from the city and are paid back when the work is completed and the contractor is paid. The program was given $1 million in seed capital from the SF, or San Francisco Community Investment Fund. The CAP program is geared towards helping small business owners who may not otherwise qualify for a business loan with a commercial bank. As part of the CAP loan process, applicants are provided with training on how to prepare cash flow projections and budgets. The spirit of the program is to help prepare applicants to succeed in business in building capital and skills to get commercial business loans in the future. Other wraparound services offered in conjunction include bonding and technical services through Merriweather and Williams. The CAP program is for LBE contractors and is only for city jobs. So if you're a certified LBE and you're bidding on a city job and you think you have a chance of winning it, and you anticipate needing working capital, you should reach out to myself or Merriweather, and we will help guide you through the loan process. My email will be posted in this slideshow. And as Latan said, we will take questions after the presentation. Now I'm going to go to the next slide. 14B, technical assistance updates. The latest update is we've extended bonding assistance and loan program to city-funded projects built by private developers. The CDP program, which is basically a wraparound program run by Merriweather and Williams, which includes technical services, surety bond, and then they also help out enormously with the CAP process, and that's a needs-based assessment for the LBE. We also do pandemic recovery series workshops focused upon best practices in management. I just mentioned the surety bond program. And in terms of the CAP program so far, since its inception, we've booked about nine loans. We're now working on our 10th, and we've funded over $3 million. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Latan Wells for 14B operational updates.
Thank you, Peter. CMD may establish 3 separate LBE participation requirements on each contract. Following are some of the operational updates that we are currently working on in conjunction with the 14B ordinance changes. So at this point, we're working on establishing sub-participation for micro, small, and SBA LBEs. We're also working on departments' capability to separate possible LBE contract scopes on mixed funding projects. There is also an increase in the minimum competitive and threshold amounts, as you can see from the chart. So with the mixed funding projects, departments will create distinct portions of work and break up the scope and contract on those mixed funding projects. And this will maximize LBE applicability. The amount at which a contract needs to be bid or solicited with an RFP has been increased. This provides LBEs with greater opportunity to work directly with the city departments in getting contracts under the micro set-aside and informal contracting process, which includes the SF First program. This should help city departments increase their LBE participation overall. Next slide. There are new 14B program enhancements, which include, as part of this refresh, the Board of Supervisors and the mayor have sought to explore ways on how to get more LBEs, especially those located in our most disadvantaged neighborhoods, to obtain contracting opportunities and perform on city projects. So currently we're designing 3 pilot programs to meet the board and the mayor's objective. And the 3 pilot programs are the micro LBE trucking set-asides on CMGC and design build projects, which the objective is to ensure that a set percentage of anticipated trucking work go to micro LBE trucking firms. And for the neighborhood LBE preference program, the objective is to ensure LBEs, especially our micro LBEs, have the opportunity to participate in construction projects in and around their neighborhood. The Mentor Protege program has an expansion program that we're working on. And that objective is to encourage more participation by potential mentors in CMD's formal mentor protege program by adding possible rating bonuses during the selection process. Next slide. (14B) requirements and penalties. There are updates to these requirements and penalties. So within 30 days of receipt, the prime is to submit to the LBE subcontractor invoices to the city for approved work. The penalty under this new 14B change will increase 25% of the subcontract amount for failure to use an LBE subcontractor. Contractor evaluation requires documentation if a prime intentionally fails to use a subcontractor. In addition to these previous changes, we also have added a number of changes to help ensure that LBEs listed on teams are paid timely and used in accordance with the prime's proposal. Next slide. With respect to the updated 14B legislation, we are taking steps now, and here are our next steps where the businesses can participate in its own success. We're updating our certification documents and processes. We have updates to our 14B rules and regulations, as you just heard, and other bidding contract documents. And we're continuing our information campaign to let our LBEs and our small businesses in San Francisco know what is happening here, that we have a refresh, and we're doing this by speaking at these engagements through our city departments, our senior management and staff are reaching out to the business community, our nonprofit community-based organizations. And you can see also some changes have been posted to our CMD website. And by the way, we're migrating to a new webpage called sf.gov. So that's in the works. So spread the word. There are great things happening at CMD. We are working to help our LBEs and small businesses in the city. And we have upcoming certification and business technical assistance workshops to include our first Wednesday workshop, which is given on the first Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. And it is a webinar that gives an overview of certification. And it's a live webinar where firms can ask questions about their business as they pertain to LBE certification. To request attendance at that first Wednesday workshop, send an email to RSVP at lbecert@sfgov.org. As well, if you have any questions after today, you can review this presentation on the Port's website. And if you have more questions, you can also send an email to lbecert@sfgov.org. Next slide. And with that said, I just want to say thank you for attending, and you can enter any questions in the chat. Next slide.
Thank you, everybody. Are there any questions? I don't see any questions yet. I did just post the email that Latan mentioned. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, if there are no questions, then we will wrap this up. I want to say thank you for everyone's time on here. Thank you to Tiffany and the Port for having us. Thank you, Latan. Thank you, Director Esenlu, for allowing me to speak here. Latan, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, we had a question in our previous session, and the question was, if you're a new firm and you only been in business less than 5 years, how do you submit 5 years of taxes? And I just wanted to add, for new firms, if you haven't been in business 5 years, then just submit taxes for those years you have been in business. Other than that, I wish everyone a good day.
Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.